2001 attacks, also commonly known by the numeronyms 9/11s, were a series of 4 suicide, terrorist attacks of jihadist style committed in the United States on the morning of Tuesday, September 11, 2001, by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. They were the deadliest terrorist attacks in history, leaving 2,996 dead and around 25,000 injured. That morning, 4 commercial airliners traveling from the northeastern United States to Los Angeles and San Francisco were hijacked in mid-air by 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists. The hijackers were organized into 3 groups of 5 hijackers, and 1 group of 4. Each group had 1 hijacker who had received flight training and took control of the aircraft. Their explicit objective was to crash each plane into a prominent building, causing massive casualties and partial or complete destruction of the buildings targeted. The first plane to reach its target was the American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan, New York City, at 8:46 a.m. 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the South Tower of the World Trade Center was struck by United Airlines Flight 175. Both 110-story towers collapsed within 1 hour 42 minutes, leading to the collapse of other World Trade Center structures, including 7 World Trade Center, and significantly damaging surrounding buildings. A third flight, American Airlines Flight 77, which had taken off from Dulles International Airport, hijacked over Ohio, crashed at 9:37 a.m. into the west side of the Pentagon, U.S. Army headquarters in Arlington County, Virginia, causing a partial collapse of that side of the building. The fourth and final hijacked plane was United Airlines Flight 93, bound for Washington, D.C. The plane's passengers attempted to regain control of the aircraft from the terrorists and eventually diverted the flight from its intended target. It crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at 10:03 a.m. Investigators determined that Flight 93's target was the U.S. Capitol. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, suspicion quickly fell on Al-Qaeda. The United States, under the George W. Bush administration, responded by formally launching the War on Terror and invading Afghanistan to depose the Taliban, who had not complied with U.S. demands to expel Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan, and to extradite Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden escaped into the White Mountains, where he was attacked by U.S.-led forces, but managed to escape. Although bin Laden initially denied any involvement, in 2004 he formally claimed responsibility for the attacks. Al-Qaeda and bin Laden cited U.S. support for Israel, the presence of U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia, and sanctions against Iraq as motives. After evading capture for nearly a decade, bin Laden was located in a hideout in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and was subsequently killed during Operation Neptune's Spear on May 2, 2011. The destruction of the World Trade Center and nearby infrastructure severely damaged New York City's economy and created a global economic downturn. Many countries strengthened their anti-terrorism legislation and expanded the powers of law enforcement and intelligence agencies to prevent terrorist attacks. Civilian airspace in the United States and Canada was closed until September 13, while Wall Street trading was closed until September 17. Many closures, evacuations, and cancellations followed, out of respect or fear of further attacks. Cleanup of the World Trade Center site was completed in May 2002, and the Pentagon was repaired within a year. Construction on the World Trade Center complex replacement began in November 2006, and the building opened in November 2014. The attacks resulted in 2,996 deaths, more than 25,000 injuries, and substantial long-term health consequences, as well as at least $10 billion in infrastructure and property damage. It remains the deadliest terrorist attack in human history, and the deadliest incident for firefighters and law enforcement officers in U.S. history, with 340 victims and 72 dead, and the largest air disaster involving any aircraft in aviation history. While intentionally caused, they are not considered accidents. Remember that if you want to continue learning with our stories and practicing, don't forget to subscribe.